All right, and we're live. Hey, everybody, it's Jason Blaha here, just sitting here drinking my morning coffee, looking sexy as hell as usual. Nice wake up with everybody. For those who are new here, these kick off a little slow sometimes. Sometimes they go fast. I sit in here for a long time. I multitask, work on other stuff to justify it. I'm going to do a lot of typing while I'm here. I type to clients, I make Facebook statuses. But as the stream picks up and people get in, we'll go into topics. So if you don't like the topic of conversation, if you're chiming in later, go through, uh, check the other things down the side, and you'll see the topics we're talking about. We'll end up covering 25 different topics by the time it's done. You know, once people get in here, as soon as they get the notifications, these tend to get pretty lively. Tend to get pretty lively. All right. All right. I gotta get some Facebook stuff up. And then we will get over to you lovely people. Assuming anyone's in here, sometimes I get questions in the first 30 seconds. Sometimes it takes 15 minutes. But I'll make a community tab post here shortly. I'm on my first cup of coffee, so I'm going to be a little slow at first. But these pick up as I wake up. You're literally waking up with me. That you're waking up with Coach. We just got to get the Facebook stuff going first, though. I don't know. They're giving me, I have 3 different bonuses all in the works. We'll see if we get any of them. See if we get any of them this time. It'd be nice if I got all 3 of them. What are the odds of that? And thus far, nobody in here yet. So I need to make a community tab post. Those will tend to get people in here also. I didn't put any names or clickbait in the title. We'll see how I want to see how that does someone. I feel like on the coffee chats that doesn't matter. It's like duration matters, content matters. Like, especially if people start dropping supers, these blow up anyways after that. Afternoon ones, though, are often reliant on name recognition. For now, I don't think they will be forever. Some guy didn't like what I had in here, and one of my ones yesterday, did he? He's like, Jason making fun of red pill, and I mean, we shouldn't make fun of red pill. Why are you bothered by me making fun of red pill? I see another comment. Someone said, Josh Bryant says older trainees need to be careful with isolation exercise. Now, that's an interesting take. Well, the take is that I'm more inclined to agree. I think we're more likely to get hurt on isolation than we are big movements with age. Right? My opinion says me. Think about it for a moment. The reason people are scared of big movements is usually because the heavy weight. But it's not more issue at an individual tendon is it that weight is distributed, right? Cheaty isolation movements, I think, are far more dangerous, with age. I'm not saying with really bad form, but I mean, how do we define bad form on big movements? Is it because we use body English, or is it when we put stuff at bad angles, right? The bar stays midfoot. You don't do a lot of excessive backgrounding, jerky movements. That's what gets us. Right? Even on deadlifts, what really hurts you on a deadlift? Getting really jerky. I've seen some pretty bad injuries from dudes with straps, double overhand with straps. You get really jerky out of the bottom. They bend the arms first. That's a recipe for disaster. I can't believe people are dumb enough to do that, to be honest, and really think it's a real movement. They should be doing. Right? That blows my mind. But people are like that. You get new clients who've been training for years, and you'd be surprised at the form. Be surprised at the form I get from people. Right? Rather interesting. It's going to be one of those mornings with the coffee chats. We have no regulars yet. So I wonder what's up. Everything should be hitting correctly on the algorithm. People should have gotten notifications. So maybe the regulars are coffee chatted out. Some of the regulars have dropped out and haven't been here this week. People who are here for every coffee chat, day after day, week after week. So it's been different. It was pretty good the last few days, though. I might have to go refill my coffee in the meantime. But what happens is the people who float through, if no one comments, that kills the algorithm for a bit. And then as soon as people get in and start commenting, then it blows up. You get 20 viewers in no time. Because no one comments. I think the algorithm just assumes nobody's interested. All right. Yeah, we're going to get one of those mornings where we get coffee chats where it's slow for 30 minutes and then all of a sudden it explodes with 1,000 questions. But again, until people start commenting, it doesn't do anything. Like it'll just sit here with 3 people. And the second the first comment drops, it seems like it sends all the notifications out. Like once, it's really weird. Once YouTube decides that people want to watch. So I'll get people who are like, I got the notification 27 minutes into the stream. It let me know you were streaming. It's like, Wow. Okay then. Right. So I'll just work on Facebook stuff until the questions come in. Like I said, I have days where it takes 15, 20 minutes. So I go with that flow. All right. Sneed and honey draw the blinds. Blaha is live. What? Funny Sneed. So how you doing this morning? You're the first commenter. This is going to be one of those coffee chats where it's taking a moment to go out. I'm a little early though because a lot of times I haven't been in until after 5, so it's back over to earlier than I think a lot of my regulars are watching for it. There we go. I'm getting off a night shift. Awesome. Relentless says, "Good morning, Jason." Oh, there we go. As soon as one person comments, it hits everyone's feeds immediately. You've been sitting here 12 minutes with no comments. All right. So Relentless says, "Good morning, Jason. Had an excellent upper workout yesterday. Hit 295 for a top single on the pause bench. Did 225 for 3x8, then a bunch of closed grip floor presses against light chains. Good stuff, man. Good stuff. Closed grip floor presses against light chains. That's definitely tricep. That's definitely tricep." Connor says, "Hello, just finished cardio." Just finished cardio. Good stuff. I wonder what that sound was going into my house. Is that a toilet? I don't know. I don't have the fan on in here. But welcome aboard, Connor. What's going on, everybody? I got to make another semi-viral post on Facebook today. I need something to hit as hard. To hit as hard as that other one did. That's always phenomenal for my outreach. What time it is in Texas? Well, you might want to be a little more specific, Connor. What part of Texas? I know you mean where I live. But Texas has more than one time zone. Pretty big, dude. But it's 4:53, 4:56 in the morning, so it's almost 5 a.m. All right. I just wish it was more consistent with getting people in. 6-hour difference here. Yeah. Late morning. Late morning for you. Of course, these time zones get confusing with the time changes. That's what I hate as a coach who has clients and calls all over the world. The stupid daylight savings, because the daylight savings doesn't change everywhere. It's not a global thing. It really makes coordinating stuff annoying. So right around time changes, we'll miss. I've routinely had time zone mistakes, and it gets really silly. It's just ridiculous. We really need to get rid of the daylight savings. Donald Trump proposed getting rid of it. I don't know why he didn't follow through with it. I hate daylight savings time. It's December. It's dark at 10, and now it's dark at 4. I mean, none of it makes any sense. It just creates confusion. Like why we didn't get rid of it a long time ago, I have no idea. All right. Had a guy posted in my med ball toss reel on Facebook. Why didn't you show the part where you threw it and it knocked you out cold? I'm like, what do you mean? If I did it, I would show it. I mean, have we not shown me every time I get stapled, right? All my long term followers, if something goes really wrong in a lift, do I not show it? Remember when 565 pounds fell out of the J hooks and hit me on the squat, knocked me onto the ground, and then it hit the safeties? Did I not upload it still? I even put it in the whole training blog. It was still in the blog. Me getting up, coming all the way back over the cameras all put in. So I don't know why people would write something so silly. I guess he thinks I'm not coordinated enough to step out from under the ball when I throw it. Connor, no one's hit like, by the way, though. Connor, no one's hit like. You got to hit that like button. Since Brexit, the UK now has the ability to abolish DST. Not sure why it hasn't. I don't know. I don't know why everybody hasn't abolished daylight savings time. I think Trump needs to follow through on a couple of things he proposed in his first couple of months. He said he wanted to abolish income tax for anyone making under 150,000, and he said he wanted to get rid of daylight savings. Why hasn't he done this stuff? What a game changer that would be for the U.S. And I know here's what people are going to say. They're going to be like, oh yeah, what the whole working class will never vote for another party if it did that again. Well, the problem is, here's why we have a problem with that in the U.S. The poor don't pay any income tax already. All right. So this is why everyone's like, I don't understand why when the entire middle class almost exclusively calls for income tax to go away, right? They're like, this seems like the majority of Americans. Like if you go talk to normal people, most Americans seem to want the IRS gone, which is fascinating. But it's because you're talking to middle class people. And this is where I think this throws off people in other countries, right? Our bottom 30 to 40% don't pay taxes. It's almost entirely a working and middle class burden in the US, and then obviously businesses and the wealthy. So the UK minimum wage pays income tax, right? They don't pay income tax in the US after their deductions. I think people forget that. They're like, why is your minimum wage is lower? But our minimum wage doesn't pay taxes. And especially if they have kids, they don't pay anything. Right? So if you have a married couple, particularly a married couple, 2 kids, and they both make minimum wage full-time job, they don't pay anything. They're not going to pay taxes at all. So they don't care. They're like, why would we want to abolish the IRS? They might even qualify for food stamps or something. So, so this is where it gets a bit complicated. Whereas in, like, say, my total bracket, we share the burden. Like, we're who pays most of it. Because there aren't enough wealthy people to cover it. That's the other problem too. Our minimum wage says income tax charge beyond around too. Yeah, so the middle and working class are taxed disproportionately high here, also, Connor. Right. It's the same situation, right? It's the same situation. There aren't enough wealthy people to do anything, and that's what people don't understand, right? People don't understand how small the top 1% is. And then you look at our budget, it's like, oh. So if you were to tax the top 1% at 50%, you'd have to cut all your government programs, right? So as of right now, if we tax the top 1% at half of their income, and that's all that we had to fund our stuff, our government would have to cut 90% of its spending out. It literally couldn't even pay our welfare on that. So that's the crazy idea, the really strange idea. You'll see people who can't do math. We should just tax the rich to pay for this. They don't have enough money. I mean, mathematically, that doesn't work. Like, you can't tax the rich more money than they actually have. Right? If someone has X amount of money, you can't take more than they have. It doesn't work. They don't have enough money to pay for it. And I think that's something that would blow people's minds. The top 1% in the US do not have enough money to pay our current welfare. They don't have enough, even if you took everything. Well, and they have loopholes because they do corporations and other stuff. This is what people aren't understanding. This is why I say get rid of the IRS and just do business taxes anyways. Business tax tariffs. But think about what those loopholes tend to be. Those loopholes tend to be that they don't own anything, right? Their corporations have assets oftentimes, and I think that's a misunderstanding. Like, how could this person have all this? Because they don't legally have it in their name. They might pay themselves a salary of $100,000 a year. And that's then what they're taxed on. And then they have corporations that own all their assets. Yeah. So that's when you think of loopholes, those are the loopholes. The loopholes is that these assets are not always in their name. And they can break stuff up into different companies with different liabilities. Right? So they may not even be underpaying as much as you think, but they personally may not pay that much because they just don't have that much money in their name. But where are most of them getting hit? They're getting hit on property taxes and things. Right? So a lot of the ultra wealthy don't necessarily have a high annual income. And so how are you going to tax income if they don't have that much income? Well, you can't. So people are being silly. It's not loopholes, but then it's properties and things. So they tend to invest all their stuff into properties, into companies, businesses. They get new business benefits on the loopholes when they start a new business with the money. investment capital. They tie stuff up in assets and investments. Um, and I think this is what people misunderstand. This is just lack of knowledge of how money and wealth work by a lot of working class and poor people. No surprise, the poor don't know how money works. Yeah, right. They don't know how to make it. They don't know how to keep it. Is this a surprise? This is why they're poor, right? So you're talking about inherited wealth, exactly. So, and they go after them one time with the inheritance tax and then it's done, right? They have been taxed, but they're not flowing income. They're sitting on assets. So people have this strange idea that the ultra wealthy have a big pile of cash sitting and gold sitting in their basement, like Scrooge from the DuckTales. This is this idea that they have. They don't understand their wealth is in asset and in businesses, and those businesses are paying people, right? Jason, how's the idea of sticking with the basics? Um, so Harthel, let me ask you a question. You obviously know that I'm going to tell you that this works, right? You already know this. If you've been watching my channel at all, I've been telling you for 13 years that this works. So do you have to be dogmatic? I feel like people can't understand middle ground. They're like an all or nothing. It's a very strange that so many people can't get their head around breaking an ideology. They feel like they have to have an ideology for everything, including their lifting. Right? You don't have to do that. So here's the thing. I say, sure, those are great. You build all your base building. If you feel like doing some lateral raises at the end, do some lateral raises at the end. See how much does that mindset free you? Because it feels like people want to get stuck into two camps. Like, oh, either we're going to just do the basics and we're going to treat everything else like it's cancer. It's a poison. We can't do anything else. And people act like that, by the way. Or, no, we can't do those and we can only do fluff. No. We don't touch any of the big stuff. We don't do the barbell lifts here. We do machines in isolation. And I feel like we keep going back through this cycle over and over and over. I mean, I feel like we're back to that cycle again almost. So do you want to know what I was famous for when I first started YouTube, Harthel? Do you know my claim to fame? My first year, what blew my channel up and had people talking about me? My first year on YouTube. This guy wrote a program with deadlifts and curls in the same workout. Whoa, this guy says we can do the big barbell lifts and we can do curls in the same workout. You're probably laughing, but you do understand the time period. Ice Cream Fitness 1.0. This dude deadlifts in the 500s and he says we can do curls in the same day as a deadlift. This is revolutionary. Wow, this is different. And you're probably laughing at this, but you don't understand. I was like the first person on YouTube saying this stuff. No, dude, you can do some isolation work at the end of your big movements. Because we had a phase where people refused. They were only two schools of thought. And it seemed like everybody was stuck in those two. You either did power lifts and the big lifts, or you did fluff and pump. And there was like no middle ground almost. It was really weird. So put that in perspective when you came back over to that question. We don't need to recreate this. What are your thoughts on training your neck to make it bigger? Those are two separate questions. Cars, two separate questions. I think you need to be very careful about making your neck bigger. I think you need to be very careful about making it bigger. Do I think neck extensions for injury prevention are a great thing? Yes. Do I do them personally on camera? Do you see me do them? Yes. Right. If you watch my channel, you obviously know I promote some neck training. Right. Anyone who watches my channel knows this because I do it on camera. However, I think you need to be very careful about neck hypertrophy if you don't want sleep apnea. So I would ask the question, if you start working on really making your neck, because your neck is going to get bigger from lifting. Bro, your neck is going to get bigger from doing big exercises. You can't do deadlifts and rows and stuff without your neck eventually growing, right? It's unavoidable. But you need to be asking the question, if there's a certain point, you're going to have to all right, at a certain point, you're going to have to ask, is the safety benefits I'm getting from reducing neck injuries and concussions worth the sleep apnea? You know, you're going to have to balance sleeping with a CPAP on versus your reduced concussion risk. And you definitely don't want to be that Negzilla guy. That guy's going to die really young. You know, so this is the stuff to think about. All right, guys, I'm going to refill my coffee. I'm going to go to the bathroom. I'll be right back. All right, I'm back. So Cars World, I'm going to ask you a question. Why did you come here and ask somebody a question when you already had made your decision up and you ignored everything they just said? Right? People love to do that. They love to have a question and they just want confirmation of what they decided they're going to do. I can tell based on what you wrote, you did not actually listen to my answer. So that would be my question back to you. Why did you ask a question and completely ignore the answer? Because that's what you did. Because everyone who chimed in and heard that, he says, I don't want a pencil next to what should I do? Well, I guess you should just ignore me and do whatever you were going to do to begin with. Which is what you've already done. Now, shall I answer the whole thing again? I will re-answer your question. My internet was gone. No, it wasn't. People always say that. I'm going to bet you he made this account today. I'm going to go to his channel. Bet you said, no, it's not. So I thought you were going to be some troll who does that on purpose. No, you've got an existing thing. All right. So I need you to confirm that you were here listening, Cars, because I don't want to repeat this 3 times. So when you give me confirmation that you are in fact listening, I will re-answer. I don't want to repeat the same answer 3 times. I've already done it once. So you let me know when you are here. And tuned in and ready. Actually, I'm going to answer it, and if you miss it, you can rewatch the live stream. You could do that already, but I digress. Let's get over. It's impossible for your neck not to grow if you're doing the big lifts already. Right? So I don't want to fence on that. I mean, I'm going to repeat it. If you are deadlifting and rowing and things like that, your neck is going to get bigger. You're doing shoulder work. Your neck is going to get bigger from it. This is not subject to speculation. We've got EMG studies that show all of this stuff, that show the activation, right? Your neck is going to grow. Now, we can ignore all the stuff about concussion, balancing concussions with risk of sleep apnea because you did not mention anything about, hey, I box, I get hit in the head a lot. Right. We had nothing to discuss any sort of contact sport where you're concerned with traumatic brain injury and concussions, because I do discuss that with neck training, right? And I do a little bit of neck training, but I don't train the sides and the front. I only train extensions, which again reduces concussion injury, whiplash, things like that in car accidents. But if you start really chasing neck size, you have to balance the sleep apnea with the size. Like, hey, you got a great big neck and you're lower risk of concussions, but you have to sleep with a CPAP. You know what I mean, dude? Just stuff to think about. And before you say, well, that seems extreme, I don't think you know what sort of channel you're on. I have followers who sleep with a CPAP. I got clients who sleep with CPAPs. Let's be clear. You just stepped into the serious lifting world. CPAPs are part of it. They don't have to be. I don't sleep with one. I don't need one. But I have clients who do. I have friends who do. Right? So this is what you have to balance out. I mean, you want to sleep in a CPAP or not. You know. But if your goal is I just don't want a pencil neck, well, do deadlifts and rows, right? Your neck will get bigger over time as you gain muscle. It goes hand in hand. Why do we only have 2 likes though, guys? Let's get them likes up. So Carl's going to come back and go, man, my internet was gone again. I didn't hear any of that. And I'm going to tell him to eat a dick. And come on, guys. People will notice that. They're like, why do you get mad at people? It's like, well, because if I feel like I answered a question, I just hate repeating the same thing. I don't like answering the same question twice in the same live stream. Just, because sometimes I get asked the same question 3-4 times by 3 or 4 different people. You'll be surprised. I can tell you what those 2 questions always are. Hey, what do you think of the Mike Israel situation? I swear that needs to be another title just to get free views. I need to just put it in. I should have put it in the title today, just for the views. My other one, hey, what do you think about Mike Minzer? Like anyone should know who Mike Minzer is in 2025 anymore. Motivation Kingdom, Jason, how are you? I'm a novice who has low back spasm. My doc says there's no problem, just do stretching. I'm okay now. How should I start your novice program because it has heavy compounds? Your doctor said there's no problem. So do some stretching. You say you're okay now. We'll just do the lifts, man. Right? Do the lifts. So if you're worried about your low back, I need you said my novice program. Homie, that's like walking into a car dealership and going, hey, the car you have for sale. Could you be a little more specific? I have a few of them. If you mean my most famous one, I'll make sure your lifestyle is in order because that's the hardest one. That one is not for people who are not living a pretty recovery-oriented lifestyle. Like that's ones if you're actually taking this really serious. You're going to eat and sleep and all that stuff. But just do the program. You say you don't currently have them. Your doctor says there's nothing wrong. I'm worried. Well, if it does, then do some high rep band good mornings and you should be good. Fix your form. Usually the guys who are having back spasms on that stuff, it's their form. They're not doing the lifts correctly. Right. I got plenty of tutorials, or you can go to Starting Strength and they have free. Everyone should have a copy of Starting Strength, by the way. Every lifter should have a copy of that book. It's like a good start before you even join the gym almost, and just scan through it. It really is. It really should be a mandatory minimum read. Even though I don't agree with everything in it, do the lifts correctly. Right. So the doctor said do some stretches, do some high rep banded good mornings. Usually makes it go away. But it's probably a form issue, especially if it's from deadlifts and rows. There's some form problems. Fix your form. But I have tutorials on how to do so. All right. Stop rounding your back. Get those hamstrings locked in and engaged. Here's one of the tutorials. Oh, Connor, you can't send links, dude. Connor, links are blocked on my page or my channel in general. Sorry. So here's one, but it's not going to go through. It's unfortunate I have to do that, Connor, because if I don't, haters will link hate videos about me all day long. And I'm talking, my whole comment section will be filled with them all day. So I just have it blocked. I know this firsthand. Right. It's unfortunate, but it is what it is. There you go. How to perform the conventional deadlift by Jason Blaha. There we go. Thank you, Connor. That's always funny. I was shocked that people don't know how to use YouTube. I had someone say, I said, we can't you just use my channel search engine? Like, I searched your name plus it. It's like, no, 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 no. YouTube has a built-in search engine of every channel. You can go to that channel. And someone like me, who you're like, man, he's got like 18,000 videos. How do I find it? You literally just type what you're looking for into the channel search, and it will find it. Right? You could literally type how to deadlift. Let's see what he comes up on his channel. Deadlift tutorial, right? Things like that. You'd be shocked. Like if people want to know what are my thoughts on the Mike Israetel situation, they could type Israetel into my channel search engine. It's like, wow, he has mentioned Mike Israetel in 17 video titles. Let's go check the dates. Aha, this one is after the Israetel fiasco. Done. When I go to channels, that's what I do. I know how to use the engine. But then again, I'm a content creator, so I know how to use this stuff. Right. Yeah, there will be hundreds of videos. I mean, how many sets of deadlifts have I probably done on this channel? Hundreds and hundreds and hundreds. But this also shows you Dunning-Kruger. So because I upload them to all my stuff, like let's say I'm uploading my top sets of deadlifts to a powerlifting or a squat, bench, and deadlift group on Facebook, because everything's multi-platform. Just because you see it here doesn't mean I didn't post it in 7 other places the same day, right? So it's all about business. I can have one of those groups and I'll have coaches under which just go, wow, and I've had people say, wow, your deadlift form is immaculate. It's perfection, right? I've had guys who deadlift over 900 pounds say, wow, your deadlift form is super clean, right? I get that. And then I'll have some clown, wow, your deadlift form, just random people, your deadlift form is really horrible. You're going to get hurt. This is Dunning-Kruger in action. Literally friends with people who are world record level or have broken world records in the deadlift who compliment my deadlift form. And there'll be someone who goes, oh, your deadlift form is really sloppy. It's really bad. It's really dangerous. It's quite comical. It's like, okay then. All righty. What a world we live in. This is right about the time I think people are going to expect me to be in here. So maybe we'll start getting people chiming in going, oh, let's see if Blaha is in a coffee chat. We got in a little early today. Hold on, let me get some posts going, and then I'll tab back over to the coffee chat. Because I forget to do these if it does pick up, man. I'll get so busy chatting with people, I'll forget to make all my group posts. No, it's still quiet in here. That happened the other day, though. That one of them the other day was really quiet the first hour, then pick up the second hour. We hit the third hour, and then super chats started dropping like crazy. I had $78 in super chats. None of them in the first 2 hours. It was really weird. That happened the other day. Quite strange. It's like, did that really happen? Two of them were from one guy. Most of it was one person. One guy dropped 20 pounds twice. And then it just nickel and dime. It was like, well, that was weird. I mean, it's cool. I dig it. But, let me see if, I forgot to check, is my Facebook allowing me to live stream yet? No, I still can't. It's not telling me why I can't create them or if I broke a rule. There's no restrictions listed. It's really strange. I don't know, guys. Those were really good topics. I need to re-replicate those. Those got a lot of hits. Yeah. See, now I got quiet in here. It's really, really strange. We never know how the coffee chats are always so hit or miss. But if I run them long enough, they get the views no matter what. I've noticed that if I sit in here long enough, we'll get an hour somewhere that just really explodes. Right? There's that. I remember the hilarious one the other day. Oh yeah, that one was funny. That was probably why it was off the hinge, but it was the topics people were picking. It wasn't like in here right now. We had like 25 people dropping nonstop comments. That matters, right? But I'm at the mercy of the fans for that, right? I mean, essentially, the audience determines if we get a funny day or not. Because I can only come up with so many ideas on what to talk about for 3 hours. So I am pretty much at the discretion of the callers coming in. So yeah, I mean, the topics people were dropping ended up being funny. Except Rufio, it covered everything from dude wanting to eat how many calories are in his house cat to us talking about peppers burning our butts. Well, I started talking about pepper farts after when someone brought up the peppers. What's up, Rufio? Rufio, I wish I had a way to private message you, by the way, without saying certain things in the chat. So, Rufio, do you have any social media? Like, do you have an Instagram or anything? All right. Because if you did, I would actually send you a message in detail as to how to stay a member in good standing in here. Because you're generally a good member, but I don't think you fully understand why I occasionally get miffed at you. I would send you a private message about it if you had a social media. Right? It's one of my regulars, just an FYI. Even Carolina Reaper digestive issues, my topic. There you go. Exactly. Exactly. Because mainly I don't want to be recorded saying what I would say, like the advice I would give you. I don't want it to be made into sound bites. All right. Yeah. You know. So that would be my question, Rufio. Do you use any other social media? Do you use Instagram or anything? But yeah, but no, Connor, we're at the mercy of the audience. But yeah, we had a hilarious one that day. It was the most profitable live stream I've had in a couple years, and it was just ridiculous, the comments and the topics we covered. But we get those. Notice it never happens in the first hour, though. We never have those in the first hour in the coffee chat. It seems like we've got to really get them flowing. I had to be in trouble at work, unfortunately. Right. Essentially, the Cliff Notes, Rufio, either you are unaware of the topics that you bring of why they're an issue, or you are a straight up stalker. It's one of the only two. Does that make sense? Like you are straight up an obsessed stalker, or you hit topics and have no clue why they're problematic and legitimately don't understand. In which case, I would actually explain to you why. I don't think you understand the situation. So it's either one of the two. Make sense? Like you're either someone who's doxed my entire neighborhood, or you're completely clueless about the things that you say, and it's just coincidence. Um, but yeah, Connor, yeah, that guy dropped 20 quid twice. Yeah. Yeah, he did. But then other people just kept going. It was like this just whole flow. Right. Because I've made that in a day the week before too. Like I did $50 in supers in one day, a week before that also. Yeah, I would definitely dox anyone, let alone a neighborhood. So put your comments and questions into perspective, some of the things that you bring up. I'll give you hints. That's a really nice car. That's a really nice truck. And start asking about it. Now stop and put that in perspective. You see where I'm going with that review of why I would be like, yeah, can we not do that? You know. Yeah. All right. My thing would be, how about people not discuss my neighborhood at all in my channel? Is that fair? Wouldn't that be where we draw the line of when I say my non-training life? Does that make sense? How about we don't obsess over anything on my channel that you see other than my training? All right. hence the issue. All right. So and that's what I'm saying. All right, but back over to the topics. Let's move on from that. But essentially, Rufio, some of the questions when you make certain things, I in my head, I go, is this the guy who contacts my homeowners association about my videos? Is this the guy who calls my neighbors, and talks to them about their cars? So now does that make sense? So there's the perspective. Oh, you called my one neighbor 37 times about his car already. But that's what I mean. But let's move on from that, guys. But that's no, but so put it in my perspective though. All right. I ordered a new book over at Health and Fitness for Our Body. I don't know who that is. Apparently has a weightlifting program called Geek to Feek. He claims I've gained 30. Hey, Desert. Is that suspicious to you? That to me as a coach and someone who knows biology, that claim, okay, are you ready? Would be the equivalent of someone writing a book and telling you, I made $50 million in 1 month, and here's how you can do it too. Yeah. About people, Rufio, you're asking me, am I serious about people doing that? I'm dead serious. I'm serious as a heart attack when I say that. That is my normal day-to-day life. All right. So Desert, I doubt it's even, you doubt. Desert. I think you were way overstating the power of gear. So let's change the word doubt. It is biologically impossible even on gear. Let's just remove the word doubt. All right. But no, Rufio, but but think about it from my perspective. All right. I'm just saying, just think about it from my perspective. Coach, I'm fuming. I have updates. Let's hear it. Limitless. Yeah. Hey, Desert, no one has ever gained 30 pounds of muscle in a month on steroids ever. It's never happened. Completely biologically impossible. It cannot, those sort of numbers cannot be done. So you now know everything that you need to know about that con man. Right? You know everything you need to know about that con man. That is, to even state that is so ludicrous that you know that he's a complete con man. It's so far beyond possibility. Limitless, Coach, I'm fuming. I have updates. All right. So let's hear. We're going to hear about Lucy, Coach. Okay, so I was supposed to meet her today, and 3 hours for a meeting. To me, she said, hey, my cat is feeling bad. I have to take care of her. I didn't reply. 1 hour later. Can you meet tomorrow? Okay. So her cat might have been feeling bad. So see what she does. If she does the second thing, then you move on. So that's a possible good excuse, maybe. So see what she does on the second one. But there may be a point, Limitless, where you go, or are you wanting something serious with this girl? You may want to just move on. If she says no, she cancels on you twice, then move on, homie. It's pretty straightforward. and get too hung up on Lucy Coach. Yeah, she flexed again, then kapow her. Like Connor said, man. All right, that's an excuse. She didn't say for no reason. Uh, all right, I need to move to Houston, Texas. Some of your GP is curious why you prefer. I mean, I've talked about shoeless training of anything. Yeah, I mean, if it was an accusation, I would have just banned you, Rubio. I think you're kind of missing the. I'm just saying a lot of it ends up being a lot of coincidence with things they obsess over. And I mean, it's happened like 7 times. That's it. I'm just saying it looks suspect. If I was convinced, I would have banned you already. Hence, notice I'm polite and say, "Hey, man, could we just not mention other stuff out there?" I don't even know you realize. But see, Rufio, if I start telling you, do you see the problem? You wanted me to say it in the live stream. Now I feel like you're trying to draw me out to get videos of me. No, I don't think you realize how many things. You lost count, but I watch patterns. You may not even realize it. So it could be totally innocent, but you've done numerous things. And I'm like, really, Rufio? And I don't think you realize it then. So either you legitimately don't realize how many you've done. I'm just saying there's coincidence between things you said and things like my homeowners association gets contacted about and stuff. Is all I'm saying. So again, hence the suspicion, right? Man, the shoeless training. I guess I'm gonna have to dedicate my whole channel to just shoeless trainings because I it's something I've done forever. In short, desert shoeless training gives you stronger feet, healthier feet and ankles. And we know this in a wide variety of lifting and sports and whatever. Okay. Well, Rufio, that's why I meant, hey, dude, I really wanted you to just make something so I could message you. Be like, hey, dude, you're probably not aware of this. Hopefully not. Does that make sense? I think you're acting a little sensitive. But no. I don't think you understand then why. Yeah, he needs to calm down. I am calm. If I had your garage gym, I would like to add sledgehammer swings against tires in my GP training. It's been not that easy to source the tires. It's not as easy always as you would think, because then I got to get them delivered and stuff. I mean, I've thought about the tire thing, by the way. Tire flipping and sledgehammer to tires are both really good. All right. Morning, coach. What time is it there? It's 5:51 in the morning. Limitless. Man, where are you going with that nonsense? I know this will cheer everyone up. All right. I go to bed really early, Jeremy. I don't have a set bedtime. Chris says, hey, Jason, can I ask 2 questions? Well, you asked one, so you may go ahead and ask the second one. Yeah, because Rufio Connor was sitting here the whole time, dude. Yeah, yes, I'm an early morning person. Yeah. Chris says, do you think pull-ups carry over to front squats better than chin-ups? No, I don't see why one of those would carry over better than the other to chin-ups personally. I think that level of paralysis by analysis isn't useful there, right? Sumo deadlifts, are they really that bad? What do we mean by that bad? That seems rather so bad in what way, Chris? So be a little more specific, because I'm not anti-sumo other than competition. I don't think sumo should truly be allowed in powerlifting, but I'm not anti-sumo deadlift. But when I've judged powerlifting meets, I judge sumos fairly based upon the rules when I've judged them, irrespective of that personal bias. All right. Limitless says, Coach, I'm going to be honest with you. I want a massive neck, but only because it makes me look smaller. Can this be possible on a deficit? Do you think you're going to grow a bigger neck while cutting? No, probably not. On Jim Windler's 5-300 Desert Stars, why is the standing military press prioritized as one of the 4 key lifts over something like back rows or lat pull downs? Why would you even mention lat pull downs instead of pull ups? And you should have said pull ups, because things like that are not always as programmable per se. All right. Yes, Cody. What's up, Peppermint? So Peppermint, man, we're having a whole Rufio's upset with me because I told him to kind of back off on certain. I don't think he realizes. He thinks I've accused him of being a stalker, but I would have banned him. When the reality is, I don't think he realizes how many things he comments on that overlap. And I'm just trying to tell him, hey, man, I don't think you realize it. I don't think he realizes it. Yeah. And that's why I told him, hey, man, if you make a social media, I would rather just tell you so that you know. Oh, so then it would like you would understand. All right. Rufio would understand if I actually wrote and told him, and he'd be like, oh shit, I'm sorry. Rufio, if you're legitimately not you would probably be like, oh shit, dude, I had no idea, Coach. I'm sorry. That makes sense. Limitless says, even if my neck is, hey, Limitless, man, I'm not going to stand here and worry about a bunch of dudes bulking and cutting in their necks, you know. I'm sorry, dude. All right. My neck shrunk during my cut so far. Limitless, yeah, makes sense. So Limitless, keep gaining muscle. It's like, all right, here's the thing, guys. Here's the thing. Why do you guys who have no size base start worrying about your neck? Like, why are you singling out the neck? That's what I don't get. You do know your neck is going to grow just from lifting weights over time. Like you are aware of this, right? Oh, I think, hey, Peppermint, I think Rufio is too. That's why I'm just trying to tell him, hey, dude, you know, because I don't think he gets it. And I don't think he understands my knee-jerk responses to certain things. Because again, I don't think people always remember that I've been swatted. I've had bomb squads close my street before. I've been through a lot of stuff. Like I legit have extra PTSD from some of this crazy stuff. And I don't think people always understand that of the extremity of those situations. Makes sense. And so certain things are going to make me go automatic suspect to someone on the overlap. And they have to understand that is going to happen. Chris, it will probably never stop happening. All right. But I want to move on from the topic. All right. And what I'm simply going to ask is, again, don't mention other stuff in my videos. other than the training is all that I'm asking for, guys. And I feel like it would be a lot simpler. If I'm doing filming outside, could we please stick to just my training? It will make my life a lot easier. Right? So let's get back over. I'm going to go down the road. I'll get to your sumo in a minute. Yeah, please re-ask it. Neck training has been popularized lately in some. I don't why. I mean, I get it. I do neck extensions, just for lockout and combat sport purposes in case, and it's for injury prevention, right? But these guys who are doing it for an aesthetic, why don't they just lift weights? Your neck is going to get bigger. Moving on, but yes, Jason, I asked about sumo because I can't do conventional without hurting myself. So Chris, that shouldn't be the case though. So I would also say, and I don't have a problem with someone say doing sumo. All right, I don't have a problem with someone doing sumo. But you need to be addressing why you're having pain and hurting on conventional, because that's a basic normal human movement pattern, Chris. So my point to you is maybe you need to address that and figure out what's going on with it. Connor said, Limitless, I did combat sports on neck training help for that, but can throw off your physique if it's disproportionately big, right? Connor, I just need a small routine. No, why don't you do deadlifts and rows? I mean, hey, Rufio, and then only to address that, you are aware that the people who did those things do watch the live streams and come in now. Hence, makes sense. You're aware one of them's probably sitting here watching right now, almost guaranteed. So hence why those things get brought up. Alpha Destiny is a bit obsessed with neck work, but others like Israel oppose it staunchly, so it's contended a lot in the fitness space. Yeah. Right. Yeah, but it's strange. Some people are so obsessed with it, and it's like, I don't understand neck training for aesthetic purposes. That's what I don't get, this obsession that these guys have. Just lift weights, you know. All right. I don't get why people would want to do it, because you said you get disproportionate. It makes your shoulders look small. Right. And I think they're forgetting that too. So if a person undertrained their delts, especially if you have a narrow, oh my God, you talk about a recipe to not have the physique you want. Have fairly narrow shoulders and let your neck disproportionately get bigger than your delts. It's going to make your shoulders look tiny. But we also come over to the issue with neck training of, so you got to wonder why they have this obsession. I'm like, you guys are going to make your shoulders look small if you really get obsessed with it. Right. Then your neck is going to grow from the other training. Right. All right. I think people who want the power look, the thick neck strap, exactly. Yeah, the power look. But that's not the most aesthetic look. So yeah, what look are you going? Are you trying to get a classic physique, or are you going for the yoked or Herculean look? So aesthetic, I want to say. So you want aesthetics, you need to don't start doing a bunch of neck training. kind of leave your traps and neck alone a little bit. Don't do anything extra for them, honestly. Focus on your delts. You don't need a thick neck if you want, right? If you want a power look, go for it. Speaking of Alpha Destiny, Alexander, guys, he's doing vegan plant. Yeah, I know. He needs to be on drugs. That's why. Yeah. So the Apollyon or Herculean difference, right? Peppermint. So Limitless. I don't think that you really understand training and aesthetic stuff very much. So you're that's the problem. Yeah, Alex is doing he's done plant based a lot now. I guess he's gone full vegan, but he's on enough drugs. He's getting away with it. That's all it comes down to, man. Use enough drugs. So Limitless, you're like, I deadlifted and tried. What do you deadlift? Keep getting bigger and stronger. You know, and that's what I'm pointing out. You have to just keep getting bigger and stronger. I feel like everybody wants 10 years of results in 6 months, and I'm sorry it doesn't work that way. That's just not how the world works, guys. All right. Pete Rubish has a massive neck when he was blasting. He's natural. His neck has vanished. Well, yeah, steroids will directly grow your neck too. Everybody knows this too, right? Anybody unaware of that fact? All right. All right, we back. Oh man. Yesterday someone made me Google chart. All right. Well, there you go, Limitless. That's the bodybuilding world for you, man. That's the bodybuilding world. Yeah, definitely don't do Kai Green grapefruit. So Kai Green, when he was doing his G for P phase to pay for his pro bodybuilding, right? He made sweet love to a grapefruit on camera. Notice how nicely I said that. He and the grapefruit made love to each other while he was wearing the leather. Yeah, there's even videos. Well, he got paid for those videos, right? He got paid for that. Yep. People are weird. People are weird. The things that they the things that they enjoy, man. I mean, to each their own, but you know, hey, I don't get it. Right. The Pete Rubens transformation from enhanced to natural is proof of how powerful the drugs are, especially he still lifts heavy today, but lost all that crazy size. Yep. Yep. You know, or he has to just own it, Connor. That's probably part of it too. At the end of the day. But yeah, I mean, so we know that though, that you know, we know how powerful drugs are. Right? The easiest way to get in shape is to find a fitness program, print it out, and follow it per the schedule. Yeah. Yeah. Take care, Rubio. So, so assuming he really isn't a troll, I think what it is, Peppermint. I don't think Rufio realizes how many he's done, and he just. I think he legitimately isn't aware. Then, as a fan, of how often he's just hit those same topics, and he's probably unaware. You know, he probably was genuinely offended. You know, but I don't think some of the regular fans realize they legitimately don't understand what I deal with or how extreme it is. Right. I mean, there's a reason if someone, even on fan, goes, could I show up and meet you? Something like, oh, hell no. You know what I mean? It's like, no. Yeah. I don't think they understand. Chris says, Jason, I haven't been around for years, but I hate what the YouTube fitness community became now. It's so corporate, so full of normie content. I missed the early mid 2000s YouTube fitness, right? It was a different era, man. It was like the Wild West. I'm from back when you had your first channel before so you're talking all the way back 2012. Yeah, but he can take a few days. Yeah, you have an idea, but not. And I think if people knew the full extent, if they really knew the full extent, and the things that I know and the bits of info that I have on all of it, I think they would be shocked. People who know, and again, there's a reason CJ Domino, for example, right, the deadlift dad, said in a thing, he's like, dude, he's like, you're insanely resilient. He goes, normal people would not be still standing with all this. He goes, you're resilient as fuck. And he was an infantry sergeant for 20 years. So people they really don't understand. They have no clue. Yeah. Like they have no clue. You have a lot of education kind of, but I don't have time to watch it all. Yeah, that's fair, Desert. But it's number one rule: don't ask coach. Yeah, you know. Yeah, that's when I found your channel. It was 2012, I think. Yeah, I mean the channel was up. I broke 2012. I think I hit about 10,000, 15,000 followers by the end of 2012, maybe 20,000 by the end of 2012. You have a lot of, yeah. So yeah, you'd ask about the foot thing. I've been doing barefoot training mostly for a long time, and then I rotated into doing the running barefoot, the sleds barefoot. Right, right, right. And maybe resilience about processing pain and hardship as a challenge. Exactly. Speaking of the early 2000s, I've noticed people were so much stronger back then since people were doing 5x5s today. Everyone's at the gym. They're back to the bro splits and the machine. It's the machines. Peppermint, I agree. I think many long-term fans begin to feel they are your friend and sometimes overstep the boundaries. In reality, you don't know us from Adam to Eve, good posters and regulars, right? And keep in mind, because I deal with stalking and stuff, I always have to be cautious of people playing a long game, right? And I think people forget that. I don't think they understand, again, what I deal with. How do I know you're not playing a year-long long game? Right? That is, unfortunately, that is the reality that I have to deal with. Right? Here in the UK, heavy duty is still very popular, which is better. Yeah, I agree. I agree. I think Chris, people got lazy again in the gym. I mean, Martin Birkin broke it down. He's like, I see weak people, right? Well, truth, I have to have a funnel for clients. Like I coach and do consultations all the time, right? Won't mention who, but yeah, it has happened. Um, right. But I also do consultation calls all the time. I do client calls all the time, client intakes. Five finger shooters still popular. I own 4 pairs of them. I wore them all out though. I have some in my Amazon wish list in case any fans want to grab them. But yeah, as a general rule, if anyone reaches out to me anywhere but through my social media consultation funnel, it's automatic. Mm-mm. Yep. Those five finger shoes used to, yeah, no, they're still a thing. They're still a thing in a lot of circles. I like them actually. Uh, is it even possible to do drama on YouTube now? Just stuff all censored. I mean, apparently haters can still make videos. Yeah, apparently so. You can. It's not going to be the drama like the old days. We don't have the same circles. Everything has got bigger and more, like you said, more corporate, and it's definitely lost the old Wild West early creator feel. I don't want to go away from all that though, man. That's what I did. That's my thing. The streaming has been growing slowly too, though. So I'm just going to keep doing the streams for now. I mean, but one day we may go to a point where it blows up enough where I do one stream. Yeah, drama nowadays is just boring. It's just my kids are telling Nipper versus dude. It's yeah. I mean, and we're at a point where it's like everyone knows these dudes are all fake. I mean, does anyone not know these guys are all fake natties and so on and so? It's just yeah. I don't know. All right. Hmm. This new generation doesn't know what real drama is. Limitless, why would you think Nippert is natty? So man, well, so here's the thing, Limitless. If you have a fitness influencer or athlete who you know who they are, that alone is a red flag they're not natty. Because if they were natural, you wouldn't know who they were. They would be a nobody. I really don't care about Reuters, but it feels odd that I lift heavy and there's random Reuters at the gym lifting baby weights on meme exercises and they're huge, and the natty kids that follow them are all tiny, right? Yep, the natty kids that follow them are all tiny. Boy, you missed that whole documentary Scooby was in 15 years ago or 10 years ago, Limitless. Why would you think Scooby is natty? You don't remember Scooby in that documentary making very pro-anabolic statements? Come on, dude. All right. It makes no sense, economic sense, to be natty in a content creator. It doesn't. There's still the running joke in all the circles. Omar might have been the only natty. But here's my point, Limitless. Build your base. So I must remind you again, I come from a generation where you were expected to get strong before you did any gear. And that's been lost. There's a reason everybody was strong, because you were expected to build a strength base. That's why that era was iconic. That era spawned, well, I mean, heavy duty training was a big part of that. The whole DC training, all that stuff, dog crap training, all came out of those time periods. But dudes expected you to build a base, man. You were seen lazy and weak if you did gear before you had a strength base. All right. I did watch Coach How to Bench Squat, etc. from 10 years ago. People used to actually value function over form. But I mean, what's interesting, and I always bring this up because Lobliner backed me on this in a video. Two completely different states, same generation of lifters. The rules were the same. So what does this tell you? He was in Ohio and I was in Texas, same generation. The rules were the same. And notice we didn't say for bodybuilders. We didn't say for powerlifters. We said the rules, the gym bros. Yeah. Started lifting in 2003 in Australia. So Chris is in Australia, right? 2003. Yep. So all the way, so you go back then, the rules were the same in Australia. Yeah, he said, whereas in here, they just made fun of you. But that's the rules, dude. It was, you got to bench 3 plates, squat 4 plates, deadlift 5 plates before you do your first cycle, or you're a bitch. Right. Well, Siva says, I had a guy at my gym the other day telling me he didn't need to squat over 225 because I don't even weigh that much. Dude is obviously on some kind of stack on his big upper body with small legs. Right. But look at their drug stacks back then versus today, man. It was dudes go so hard on the drugs like it's normal. Right. We actually cycled off or bridged in between though too back then. Yeah, they just go more is better. More is better. But I remember, like, I was in some of the groups, and I don't think you guys know that I got called out in the gear groups. The same ones that Kinespi came in, that he got clowned when he was a teenager and running 3 grams. I want to be clear, like, so everyone says this nonsense. Oh, coaches promoted abusing or anabolics, but in all the gear groups, I was considered too conservative. I used to have people, other lifters, say the cycles that you propose will give 0 gains. Nobody will gain any muscle on those. There's a complete waste of time. Let that sink in. For dudes who are out here talking about training natural, other coaches and lifters used to call me out in our gear groups for promoting cycles that would give no muscle growth. They're like, you won't gain any muscle. It's a complete waste of time. Right? So in those circles, that's who I was. And then, haters on the internet, Blaha, promotes blasting and has blasted and abused massive amounts of gear. But in all the gear circles, I was told the cycles I promote were a complete waste of time. They wouldn't even put a single pound of muscle on you. But Connor says nowadays amateurs take more than most pros did 20 years ago. Right. Absolutely. True says men are lost. They need a set of universal standards and disciplines to live by. Chris says, I wonder, though, how much of that has to do with the fact that the quality of drugs today is way worse than it used to be in terms of potency. I don't know. Maybe I just debated a lot. Beyond Belief says, didn't you specifically tell Eric Konevsky not to do drugs? And yes, I did. Before Konevsky was a big thing, I specifically gave Eric Konevsky, there's history that people forget. I'm one of the people who told him in those groups that he did no business using anabolics at his age, and he had no business running the doses he was running. So people see Konevsky as this guy, but to me, he will always be that kid on 3 grams of gear. Even though we now have had beef, and I've told him don't come anywhere near me. He's tried to message me, hey, can we collab? I'm like, do not come within 100 yards of me. I'm just telling you flat out. But no, to me, Konevsky is a 16-year-old kid on 3 grams of gear. A silly kid running 3 grams of gear at 16 years old. And I don't see him as any different. To me, he's the same person. He's just 150 pounds heavier with a beard now. You know. I can't even comprehend personally me doing 3 grams of gear. My God. Right. Is he the guy that near had a fight with Peg Watson? I don't know. You know more about that than I do. I don't know if they had beef or not. I have no idea. But keep in mind, Konevsky's done a whole massive, he does a whole character parody of me and goes around gyms and gets thrown out of places pretending to be me. So essentially, he wears like little booty shorts and a cowboy hat and a plate carrier and walks around talking about he's Jason Blaha. And, yeah. I've got banned from venues because of Eric, by the way, and didn't realize because they thought it was really me, apparently. Is he the guy that asked people? I have no, I think that's somebody else. Yeah, Konevsky went over to Prank Channel. Yeah. He is a clown. He is a clown by profession. I mean, not basically, that is what a clown does. And whether you see that as positive or negative is up to you. But I mean, he's what he is. Yeah, that's him. Right. But he didn't place well in that first bodybuilding show, but he ran 7 grams of gear plus insulin for it. He publicized his drug stat. James, morning, coach. What's up, James? How you doing? He had a long running thing with her and Mike just looking at him like, who's this clown, right? There are any YouTubers you miss from the old days? I mean, what do we mean miss? Chris rolled through here the other day through one of the live streams. Aaron said to him, come back when you're in shape, right? Yeah, no, Chris has always had my back. You know, he was good. No, Chris and I are cool. But Chris always done his own thing, and he's been successful with it. Oh, man. But again, that was a different era, right? That was a different era in this game. The swamp nerd. Oh, Mbasa. Mbasa, do you legitimately not know, or are you being funny? You're aware that Lane Norton and I have had legal battles, right? You're aware he sued me before. So, are you just trolling? And then O'Hearn and I, while I'm generally supportive of Mike and I had a minor altercation where I did threaten to shoot him. So I hope I hope you're kidding, because look, that's why the regulars are all laughing. They're like, "Is this dude serious?" Oh, okay? That's fair, man. So there's a lot of history. I've been doing this a long time, bro. I'm an OG here. I'm very aware that the Hutch twins became political grifters. Are they really grifters, though? I think that they're relatively entertainment. How to react? He didn't. It was truth. I hate having to retell this story over and over and over, man. Bro, we done covered it like 57 times in the live streams that we need to go through. He didn't react in person. We had to talk to Sheila, and she had to talk to both of us about it. And, do we care? He basically got told, "You don't know Blaha. Don't do this stupid stuff. He will smoke you," by someone who knows me in person. Like, I got to ban you from the venue unless you're going to be chill about this, because he will shoot you. Um, and then she had to have a talk with me about it. I'm like, well, he threatened me first. I'm light that ass up. And I'm justified, man. The dude claims to be a judo champion. His hands are a deadly weapon. You can't threaten to hit me. Very straightforward, guys. If I remember, Michael Hearn was angry because you made fun of him for the duck eggs. Yeah, he didn't like that. Me calling him on the duck egg scam. $700 for a 30-day supply of duck eggs. And he was like, I'll slap Blaha in his sugar tits. And when I'm at his gym, it's like, oh no, I don't think so. Mm-mm. Well, and that's the difference between people who've met me and know me versus internet perception. Because I knew the gym owner, and she ran big venues. That was at the time. At the time, like, I bumped into other fitness people while training there. That gym was a big deal in the area. Like a ton of IFBB and NPC people and stuff there. So, I'd go do normal workouts and meet people just training, like, oh, they recognize me, I recognize them. Happened with Big J and other people. No, we're not on good terms with Konevsky, Benny. Konevsky has been told when he's contacting me, do not come within 100 yards of me. I don't want him anywhere near me. We are not on. Why would I be on good terms? He's a complete clown. Not fitness at all. Why would you even consider him a fitness person? He runs a clown show. That's all he is. That's all he's been since I first talked to him, and I gave him a hard time as a kid. Told him he had no business using steroids at 16. All right. No, I'm not going to do rest in peace to Rich. Do you ever regret not selling out to the supplement industry back in the early 2000s? It just went full on into that. Hey, Chris. So do you really want me to answer that? Because you realistically, I'm going to have mixed feelings. I mean, I could give you two different answers. There are times when I look back and go, I always have to balance that. I can look myself in the mirror and say I didn't scam people, I helped people, right? But there are times when I go, I have gone through some true hardships over that for a world that just keeps using supplements. I could have been a multimillionaire. Instead, I got sued, I got my name dragged through the mud, and the whole world still just keeps using supplements and gets scammed anyways. So there are definitely times when I go, what did I even do? No, it's too late now. There's no way I could still do that. No supplement companies they want nothing to do with me, Truth. I can assure you of this. It's not even an option on the table. Like, yeah, my bridges have definitely been burned. It's not even an option on the table. But I look at that and go, the whole world still just keeps taking them. They still keep getting scammed. I've come to the conclusion, right? I've come to the conclusion that people have a fetish for being scammed. I think people legitimately get off to it. They have to, or they wouldn't keep buying supplements. I think it's like a weird fetish. People want to be scammed. All right. Yeah, these companies are the ones who cause me the problems. Absolutely. They're responsible. These companies are who's responsible for my whole stocking starting. They've bankrolled it originally. Cybation did. Vertebreaker said, that's like asking me if I regret not robbing banks back in my youth before cameras being all over the place. Wrong is wrong. Pushing useless chemicals on people for profit is just wrong. It makes sense why people came after you so hard because it's $1 billion industry. You're obviously people paid to come. Oh, they were people admitting they were paid to come after them. That's the thing. They were openly admitting it, like on forums, like stalking her. Like, you were getting $2,000 a month a piece to do this. They hired 5 of us. But remember what Lowblinder said about that. He said in a thing, he goes, look, he goes, Jason Blaha, he goes, I can prove it. He goes, it's not worth trying to pursue him. He goes, but the things he said about supplements and the stances he's taken, he's like, he's cost me millions. Lowblinder said that. He goes, I promise you, I've lost more than $1 million because of Blaha. He said that in a video on camera. He goes, I have lost more than $1 million because of Blaha. Me personally, in supplement sales. It's like, I guarantee you. So, yeah, it was bankrolled by them, the true believers. Right? I remember it's only cholesterol. All right. A peppermint, and that was another thing I didn't mention with Rufio. He came in and he'd acted like he was almost serious of promoting a Cybation product in my comments, by the way. I don't think he grasped that part either. Literally, Cybation, the company that bankrolled my original thing, they also donated money for Lane Norton's lawsuit against me. So, I'm in the crypto world, Jason. I can tell you people do a lot of malicious stuff in there for a lot less. It's not even conspiracy that people got paid to come, right? And it's not like they weren't openly admitting it, They were openly admitting it. I mean, we had numbers. People were listing how much they were being paid. Yeah, exactly. Peppermint. So hence again, but do you see what I mean? There's a whole bunch of them. that's why I was kind of like, really, review? Are we really doing this, dude? You don't think I'm a little suspicious? I mean, the list is getting pretty long. All right. He got voted on that one, by the way. He may have forgotten that there was an actual vote, and he got kept in. It was like 4-3 or something. All right. Chris said, Jason, I had a guy pay 500K just to attack my crypto project. He brought in a ton of supply the tokens just to make sure my coin died. Wow. Yeah. So with those guys, there were 5 dudes who were apparently getting 2,000 a month. Right. 2,000 a month for almost 2 years. Do the math. $10,000 a month for almost 2 years, or probably 1 to 2 years, just to harass me, just to make hate content, harass me, harass my family, the doxing, all that stuff. And then it turned into true believers. But, let's move on from that. Let's get over to better topics, but psychopath plus money, they do so much bad stuff. And I think that's the problem, It's not just psychopaths, it's any of the dark triad traits, realistically. I think any of the dark triad traits, when money comes into the equation, can turn into real bad stuff real quickly, guys. Right? Psychopathology, narcissism, right? Any of these dark triad stuff. And when money comes into the thing, right? Oh. Yeah, many people. Well, it's about 30%. I mean, 2 to 3% of the population. Yep, the love of money. Right. And people forget that it's not money is the root of all evil. That's not the term. It's the love of money. And it's not necessarily the love of money, it's what the love of money represents. Right. It's just weird though. Why do they spend? Hey Chris, it's about the bottom line. So you've got to look at it this way from supplement companies. When supplement companies are like, this guy is costing us millions. Because again, keep in mind how much smaller YouTube fitness was and how much traction I had. So go back to 2013. I easily got 1 million views a month or more. I got over 1 million views every month on YouTube as a staunch anti-supplement, supplements are a scam person. Those companies were talking to other people who are like, well, Blaha says this and that. Like they put out feelers and got a feel for things. So those companies were having those conversations, and some of it would come back to me, some of the conversations that they had. Like I was a problem. There were supplement company owners talking with each other about me. And I found out through some other people later, oh yeah, you're a topic of conversation at over golf and stuff. I found this out from someone else really high in the industry because they had invited me for some stuff. And they're like, yeah, you are a topic of conversation. Like they told me in a phone call, and not in a good way. These companies do not like you. So Chris, you could look at that and think in terms of the bottom line. If someone is costing you $1 million a year and you can deal with the problem for $100,000, Yep. Right. Yeah, I got banned from bodybuilding.com. Definitely. Lane took care of that. People did not want me talking anywhere. It's like, dude, shut him down. Yeah, they wanted me gone and gone. Well, it's the same thing. You remember when Israel said that video too. Israel tells words when someone brought that up about telling the truth. It's like, Blaha told the truth and they crucified him. Look what they did to him. That's what Lowliner said. Or not Lowliner, Israel said that. He goes, look at what they did to Blaha. And he just left it as they. He goes, they crucified him. To where now we're sitting in a live stream with 15 people. You know? What you do. Yeah, you cause problems for the industry, you might get Morgan Spurlock. What happened to him, by the way? I don't know what they did to Morgan Spurlock. But, what do you do, guys? Well, I got to do some Facebook posts real quick. I might just do more and more drama anyways, just because we'll do more stuff in the afternoon chats where we drop names and discuss those things. The problem is I don't have my pulse on the finger of the industry, and no one sends me information, right? It's not like in the old days where if someone had topics they wanted me to know about, they DM me, or they reach out to me and contact me. So I literally have no idea what's going on anymore because I don't watch any of it. All right, back over. Oh, the cancer. Yeah, so basically they took your YouTube fake character memeing, trolling stuff you did back then and tried to make it out to that your real personality or something and not a character, correct? So that was the attack vector, correct? Absolutely. I respect Mike for not condemning you. He didn't on that one. He just told the truth. Yeah, Mike is under attack for his own stuff. Yep. And they've still stuck with it. So the whole memeing thing is still spun that way. A documentary hit just a couple months ago, dragging it all back out. Right. So that's been the attack vector. Yep. So my bit of memeing fun stuff was turned into an entire hate campaign that resulted in death threats, fake bombs, bomb squad closing my street. I had to go into hiding for a little while. I completely disappeared. I and my ex, we went into hiding. Notice that's why I did all the green screen. You guys couldn't tell where I was filming at any given time with green screens. But we had enough money, and I had enough money that we were able to just disappear for a while and then jump through certain gyms to get all my training done. Like rented a whole house from someone for a little while, just temporarily, while they knew they were going to be out of town. Rented their whole house, did my stuff there, then jumped from there. And then I got a condo that for 3 years straight, I was on it. No one doxed me because I didn't change my address anywhere. I didn't have my address on file anywhere other than my condo contract. It took 3 years to find me. But now I know all the ways by which I'm doxed. Like, I've learned all the different stuff, so I know how to avoid it later. This place I was doxed within 72 hours at this home. 72 hours is how long it took after I moved in. So. But now I know how that was done, because I know how I successfully stayed hidden, and then I saw how I've been found. So for now, I don't care. Like, I guess that's the issue when you play characters online. People can turn it against you, and people who don't know any better will think it's serious. Exactly, Chris. Lesson learned. But I mean, that's Maria. That's a really strange question. No, I kicked her out 10 years ago. Not 10 years ago. I don't know. I've had multiple girlfriends since then, honestly. Very strange question. People don't know these people, and they see a persona which becomes that person. I mean, the same, like, so think of the kid who played Joffrey. Like, that's a problem for him forever. Do you know that the actor who played Joffrey has had death threats and attempted attacks in real life because of the character he played in Game of Thrones? I believe that. As someone who's been through the things that I have, I don't doubt this for a second. I am actually legitimately concerned that that young man is going to be murdered one day because of the role he played in a TV show. Right? Chris, personally, I made this mistake with other YouTubers. I watched some documentaries on them, and they make them out to be crazy, weird person, and go look at their stuff. They're just normal people, right? Morning, Coach. What's up, Max? Yeah, people are stupid, but that's the problem. People are stupid. This is a problem in general. Let that be clear. There have been people who've almost assaulted that guy in person. The actor who played Joffrey, and tried to treat him like he was Joffrey in real life. Think about that for a moment. That's the reality of the world that we live in, that there have been people who saw the actor who played Joffrey in person and have come at him screaming, angry, threatening him in real life because of a TV show. All right, I need coffee. All right, we're back. Benny has been offended by things I said about Rich Piana and live streams. They're not videos about Rich. You know, but this is a perfect example of what we're, so Benny, you are displaying what we're talking about. So you are idolizing and fixating upon a fake persona. And ignoring the real person. And you're upset because I talked about the real things that Rich really was off camera. So this is a perfect example, parasocial relationship. You're legitimately upset that someone else talked about the real things that Rich did because you were worshiping the persona that was presented on the internet. And you're upset about that. As I've talked about it, I didn't go make videos on it, by the way. Notice I've not made videos with his name discussing those things. I haven't done that. It's not been a, hey, let's go get some publicity. This is stuff that's come up in the live streams when people ask me. I've known two of his ex-wives. I was friends with one of his ex-wives before she died. Stuff she told me. You know, and you can not like it, but that's my but here's my issue. When guys come to my channel and try to bring it up, like please note, I never went and made a video and said, hey, let's draw traffic to this after his death and cash in. When you guys bring it up in live streams, do you really expect me to just bite my tongue? You know, when I personally know these things from conversations I've had with the exes and the other stuff and people who knew him and people who've done business with Rich, who I've talked to personally about their business dealings with Rich, people I've known who I've had personal conversations with who he's hit. Do you expect me to sit here and not do that? But he was the Pablo Escobar. Benny, he was. Whoa, Benny, are you in denial of that? Wait, that part, I thought we were talking about the domestic violence. You don't like the Pablo, are you in denial of this? I hope you're kidding. Everybody knows it. The whole lifting world knew it. What are you talking about? Like, how are you going to get offended? This is what you're bothered by? I thought we were worried about the domestic violence. You're upset because I discussed his drug ring? It was common knowledge. This is why we were all, dude, all the other lifters and people said, we didn't know. Like, what? How could you not know? Bro, you're telling me you couldn't be a real lifter in 2015 with connections and not know that Rich Piana. No, he didn't own 5%, Chris. Chris, his ex-wife Jane, in the divorce proceedings, got most of it. So Benny, did you look up the police reports? Any of it yourself? You're like those people, will prove it. Show me that. Well, did you go look it up? If you're that big of a fan, go look into the charges that were pressed by the different exes. Do we really need to go into the whole 5% nutrition again, Chris? Come on, dude. I don't feel like covering this again. Rich owned like 2% of the company. No, she took the biggest chunk of it in the divorce proceedings, his first wife. Keep in mind, Rich had 3 ex-wives. You know, all three of them accused him of domestic violence, by the way, formally. This was a repeated thing, but let's set that aside. No, he didn't own 5%. He owned about 2% of the company when it was all done. Dude, he got, to be fair, man, he got raked over the coals in that first divorce. Like he got bent over in that divorce. It wasn't good. Whether that's right or wrong is besides the point. Even Benny, as a fan, will probably say, yeah, the dude got raked through the coals on that first divorce. It didn't go well. It was pretty bad. Like the dude got screwed over in that divorce, to be fair. It went south for him real bad. But right. And to be fair, dude, he didn't go well. We can argue whether that's right or wrong all day long, but he just went bad. It went badly for him, dude. It didn't go well. Benny, he didn't have a prenup, dude. So that was Jane. I was friends with Amy, his second wife. Like we had some conversations about it before she died. Like I've chatted with her about it online. She didn't hit him hard. Like Amy didn't ask for anything in the divorce. She wanted out of there. She filed domestic violence stuff and cut her ties and walked away. So Amy didn't seek anything from him financially. She got no money. She just wanted a divorce and a restraining order. Right. And she cited the domestic violence for the restraining. She's like, I don't want him near me. I just want him out of my life. She's now dead, though. Amy died. But so, you have all that stuff. So when you're saying his wife claimed, well, dude, there were a few cases of this. This wasn't a one-time thing. But let's set that aside. You can't tell me that I'm wrong on the Pablo Escobar thing. It's my joking thing with it is the comparison. You can't tell me I'm wrong on that, Vinny. Because there's hundreds and hundreds of witnesses to this. This was regular conversations being had at gyms. Let me be clear. That's conversations I've had in real rooms, in person, at the gym, with the bros, with the IFBB people and stuff. With the dude saying, yeah, man, this is some of Rich's stuff. Here's a, dude's literally holding his drugs. You do remember a bunch of people getting locked up that were connected to Rich, right? So come on, Benny, just stop. Now, that being said, are you going to claim that Rich was natural? I mean, so let's be clear, right? All this stuff with the drugs when he was alive. I was having these conversations with people when he was alive. Now, Rich didn't claim natural. So, Benny, don't jump up and claim, oh, you're calling. Or, Rich admitted his heavy, heavy drug use. He was very vocal about it. So it's not like he was natty. But if you're unaware that Rich was a steroid kingpin, you don't know anything about Rich Piana at all. Okay? Don't claim to be a fan. Don't come in here and BS. I mean, so you're saying you respected the fact that he was honest about it. Okay. So why are you upset that I discussed his drug ring? Everybody knew about it. He walked around giving out free samples, Benny. Why do you think everybody liked Rich so much? The dude walked around handing out bottles of testosterone as gifts, as free samples and stuff. Okay. I'm just saying that's how he was. The dude was like, hey, man, here's some of my stuff. Try it out and come buy from me if you like it. It's a gift. So why are you angry at me or talking about that? Are you going to be angry at all the people who admitted he gave them the free gear? Well, they were all gear users. Like, dude, he's giving this out to pro bodybuilders and stuff. Dude's walking around to competitors. I've never seen, I don't know anything. Hey, Benny, I have no idea what you're talking about. I don't know. I don't care. I don't give a flying F about Cassidy Campbell or Eric Konevsky, so I don't care. We're talking about real stuff. So why are you upset with me talking about the real stuff? Who cares about some little show? Is Cassidy Campbell even a real lifter? Come on. So you're talking about showmanship. I'm talking about real stuff. You're talking about a YouTube video. You're caught up in an entertainment persona. Yeah, helping someone who I have told I will smoke them if they come within 100 yards of me is not helping your case. You're not helping your case here, dude. Konevsky's a piece of shit. You're not winning brownie points with your argument. No, Chris, these are all guys who are on gear. So Rich gave out samples, man. That was his business model. You know. So, but that's just that was his business. So, you're over here talking about videos and I'm talking about this was Rich. This is what Rich did. And then you're angry because I'm talking about his other business, but everybody knew. Right. And no one's saying he wasn't entertaining. I mean, let's be clear, guys. All right. So Umbasa, let's set that aside. There's a lot we could argue about to not like or that's effed up. The guy he was entertaining. I'm not going to deny that. He was entertaining. Yeah, absolutely. I don't disagree. I mean, Rich was entertaining. He was an entertainer. So was Bill Cosby. Bill Cosby was a great entertainer. And that's the point, which is why there's the shock. But that's the other thing, Benny. You got to understand that what you see presented as entertainment is not always reality. Right. Rich's persona was an act. It was a show he put on for you. It was a face. It's no different than my fake Merc thing was for fun. Right? That's a show. It's entertainment. Doesn't mean that's the real world, Benny. Just like the kid who played Joffrey on Game of Thrones isn't a terrible person in real life. It was an act. It was a show. Okay. So even think about the fact if you have Rich meeting with some other guys and making a edited video in a grocery store. Do you really think Rich just bumped into him randomly at a grocery store and people started filming? Or do you think they all agreed and set up to do a video together? Come on, dude. You watched the show. That's it. It's entertainment. Right? Just entertainment, man. Rich knew how to play the game, right? I also wonder what percentage of these people actually legitimately believe you're serious, or if they're just doing it because they feel they can get away with it because of whatever crazy reason. Who knows, Chris? We're trying to figure out the motives of crazy people. You know, we understanding the motives of crazy people. You know, wasn't because I have no idea. Umbasa, I don't know. I've never heard that before. Bill wasn't Picasso known for being crazy too, right? You know, right? Everyone does crazy things, they just hide it. Does everyone do crazy things, though, Truth? Do you really think everyone does crazy things? You don't think there's any well adapted people in the world who don't do a bunch of crazy stuff? Depends on how crazy you mean, you know. Yeah, it depends on how you define it. No, I think there's definitely people exist in the world who are pretty well adapted and not particularly crazy. I think there's plenty of people. The world wouldn't function otherwise. There weren't at least enough of them. Yeah, on the whole, people are well adjusted, you know. So let's maybe say 30 to 50% of the population does some crazy stuff and most of them manage to hide it. That would probably be fair. But to say everyone, no, I don't even think most people. I think most people are largely, I agree with Peppermint, largely well adjusted, right? You know, again, reasonably well adjusted. We've all been through some things. But I've definitely known of people I can think of out there who no one ever remembered them doing anything crazy. I mean, so you mentioned that, and I can think off the top of my head. I know of someone right now who just recently died, grandmother, right? I was around her family, one of my closest inner circles, been at many of her events, who was definitely just a normal, non crazy person. Never discussed anything weird that I could think of at any event. I've known multiple of her grandchildren. No one ever has remembered anything weird or crazy or unusual about her. She just really liked to cook and have guests over, had grandchildren, great grandchildren. Nothing ever crazy or weird about her in any way that anyone noticed, including any of her family. So you see what I mean? There's plenty of just normal people. The issue is you kind of need to do crazy things online to stick out and get attention. I'm assuming that's why you did it, to help gain attention, more views, more money, but people don't get it right. Yeah, they don't understand that it was publicity all for fun. And that was the whole point. I think social media has increased the level of crazy. There's some truth to that. There's some truth to that. There's definitely some truth to that. People say that these people are always there, but I disagree. Not in these numbers, right? If they were, they weren't facilitated in the same way. All right. How do you deal with? I don't understand your question. Please ask it a different way. Maybe change your wording. Because if I were to take your exact wording, you ready? How do you deal with porn addiction, coach? I don't have a porn addiction, so I don't have to deal with it. Next. I mean, see how easy that is to answer? How does one? Oh, see, that's a much better question. The question matters. How does one deal with? I don't know, man. Try cold turkey. Try just cutting yourself off from it. Um, Maybe find other ways for self arousal and stimulus. It takes some time, I guess. There's experts who specialize in this who could probably help you. You could probably Google some stuff from some therapists who deal with it, and they could give you strategies. Right? I don't know, man. I don't know what's going on in your life circumstances. You know, I think No Nut November is the weirdest loser thing I've ever heard of. I that sounds like some sort of cuck thing to me. Like, so how does No Nut no like? Do your wives and girlfriends sleep with other men during No Nut November? I don't understand how this works. Like, why are you damaging your prostate by semen retention for a month? Like, I don't understand the whole point. So you give yourself prostate cancer and you watch your wife or girlfriend bang other dudes. I this is what people say. This is what I'm picturing. So you're basically a cuck who wants prostate cancer. Is my response to the No Nut November. I don't know, man. I think you guys need some other psychological help if you're doing No Nut November. But the response, I put a post on it the other day, and someone said, Jason, do you really think the guys who do Nut Nut November are the type of guys who have wives or girlfriends? Valid point. I think there's a larger issue at play. Right. You know, I don't get it at all. I think the whole semen retention thing is insanely weird. I think it's a mental illness. Gosh, Jesus Christ. And I would argue the same thing. Guys like, well, to help with porn and giving yourself prostate cancer versus porn addiction. I mean, the lesser of two evils, I suppose. You know what I mean? So it's like, why don't you guys just stop watching the porn? So I don't get this whole semen retention, no fat movement to deal with porn addiction. They're not the same. Like, just quit watching the porn. Because I feel like if they're going that route, they're just reconditioning themselves to watch porn. They're like, well, I abstain because I associate the two. Well, maybe you need to disassociate the two things. Because you're just associating them. I don't have a girlfriend. Should I go to Vegas? Why don't you have a girlfriend? I mean, it's not hard to find a girl. It's not hard at all to find a girlfriend. Not even remotely hard. So here's my question, Jeffrey. Is it hard to find a girlfriend, or you find it hard to find a girlfriend who meets a set of high standards and criteria you have set? Because these are two separate things. Are you telling me it's hard to find a girl who meets your list of 10 items? Or are you telling me you can't get a girlfriend tomorrow if you really wanted one? Wording matters. I don't think it's hard to find a girlfriend at all. Women outnumber men. There are more single women out there than there are men. They outnumber you population-wise by a small amount. They're like 50.5% of the population. They outnumber you. Not hard to find a girlfriend. There's millions of single women right now looking for a man. So I don't believe you. Now, if you tell me it's hard to find one who meets your set of criteria, okay, I'll believe that. So which is it? So which is it, broski? We'll check your channel out. What we got? We got nothing else on here. I'm Jeffrey. All right. Isn't the higher popular in the older generation though? Hey, Chris, that's not changing the point. Even if that's true, is that relevant? You could get a 50-year-old girlfriend. I don't know. But you see, but I digress. That doesn't invalidate the point. Is it pretty balanced? Are you sure? Men still die younger. More men die doing stupid stuff. Let's see. Okay. Gender bias, aging populations. Now I'm going to have to look this up. The census. Let's pull the census. These numbers don't match. What? Something's not right. So let's go to 25, age 25. Yeah, they're pretty balanced. So I see what you're saying. Apparently, slightly more men are born than women, but then we die much younger. Oh, it definitely starts passing by 50. Inherit a couple million. Where do you guys come up with these crazy ideas? Do you know how many few people have a couple million laying around? She looks like Kendra Lust or Ava Adams in 5, but most women. So, but here's the other thing. There are just as many single women as single men at any given age. So here's my question, Joffrey. For every single man, there is a single woman out there. Women are obsessed with finding a boyfriend and a man too. Have you not noticed this? Do you not go to the internet and see all the groups and forums and things people talk about? You are aware most single people don't want to be single. So when you say you can't find a girlfriend, it's hard to find a girlfriend, I just simply don't believe you. So what's going on? Jason, what are some good ab exercises? Because I'm tired of doing over 20 reps on decline. Hanging leg raises, man. Do those toe to bars like I do. You're not doing 20 reps. right? There you go. All these dudes talking about they can't meet a woman. There's tons of women. Literally, women are obsessed with finding a boyfriend. Single women, by and large, obsessed with getting a boyfriend everywhere. They all scream about they can't meet a good man. No good men left. All the men run around. There's no good women left. Oh, Lord. Y'all crack me up. Oh, women have high standards too. It's not just a man problem. I'm betting you'll hit 225 times 20 on bench soon. I'm hoping so, man. I think we're not far off. We got 18 a couple times. We hit 18 a couple times. How do we not? We didn't get any supers in here so far. It's one of those mornings. Something like that. It's been a slow stream though, man. It started off super slow. I don't know what's up. I got to put some snazzier titles. Yeah. I thought I would be okay not to because some of them have done fine, but apparently I have to put snazzy stuff in the title for you guys. I was playing with 225. Maybe I should go to... Hey, Joffrey, I'm thinking maybe, man, my channel is not right for you for this sort of loser comment. I'm not trying to be mean, but dude, seriously? Go to Columbia. Why don't you just go down the street? Jesus Christ, guys. You need to go to Colombia or Thailand to find a girl? Bro, I promise you there's 7 single women who live on your street right now. What are you talking about? I don't understand this weird stuff. Bunch of weird kids in here asking you this type of stuff. Come on, man up a little. Exactly, guys. Damn. Bro, you don't got to go all the way to Colombia or Thailand to find single women. There's 7 of them living on your street right now. You don't even need a car at that point. You only need a bicycle to find one. Go walk down the street. Oh my God. All right. If someone was hypothetically training for a 315 incline bench, what would be the best accessory for it? I don't know. Incline bench itself would be the best accessory. Maybe overhead work. I guess it's going to depend on where you're weakest. Kids these days don't know how to have a conversation with the women. Yeah. That's the problem. So here's the issue. If you can't talk to American women in English, what are you going to do in Colombia? Oh man, this is getting screenshot. Hold on, guys. Oh Lord. This one's going to go to the entertainment. It's going to the entertainment box here. Passport bro thing. We're going to have some fun with it. We're getting a screenshot. We have fun with these on social media. Brianna loves these. I'm going to send this to her. The passport bros. Note what he said. Dude, have you seen the modern day American woman? Passport bros said, I want a feminine woman who will give it up whenever I want. Oh my God. Give it up whenever you want. Got a bunch of dudes who don't know how to turn their woman on. I know everything about you that I need to know if you say that you got a problem with a woman who's not giving it up. Oh, man. Oh, my God. Actually, that's even better. I got to get that part about the doll. That's gold right there. Because people don't believe me that these guys exist, right? I have people who are in the conversations who are like, there aren't really guys who say stupid stuff like that. I'm like, no, they're real. All right. Am I required to ask her? No, you don't have to, Joe. So let's come over. Let's talk the other training stuff. So in other words, Joffrey, you don't know how to turn on or please a real woman. It's too late, man. I done screenshotted that. That's going to be in some of my circles. We're going to have some conversations. Bro, learn how to make a woman feel safe. Learn how to please a woman. These problems will all go away. All right. So let's get over. There's a guy at my gym who incline presses 405 for reps, and all he does for chest is incline bench. Wow. Chris, probably Michael Hearn, but I think he doesn't know. No, there's guys out there who do 405. But, here's the thing. We could argue all day long about flat versus incline, obviously, for chest development. But let's be real. If you're incline benching 405, you're going to have an enormous chest just from the incline bench at that point. Even if we argue that it doesn't fully stimulate the lower chest to the same degree, there's a point where it doesn't have to. You're going to have a massive chest. I mean, a 405 incline bench, your whole chest is going to be big because even the lower chest it takes to incline bench 405 is redunculous. You know what I mean, guys? But I don't think people really, I think people do know. When you're talking about incline benching 405, understand how insane of a feat of strength that is. Well, yeah, he's going to master. He's not possible to not have a massive chest with a 405 incline bench. Just what was that tricep exercise you got, Ted? Ted just rotates through so much stuff. So I used to jokingly call those tricepticons. It's just a standing tricep extension. That's all it is. Standing tricep extension. It's a pretty classic exercise, Joe. That's an OG exercise right there. It's just literally called a standing tricep extension. I used to jokingly, when I remember I used to do those, I used to call them tricepticons. I was doing them at one time with like 60 kg. I need to get back to that. But I'm a stronger bencher than I was then. That's kind of funny. I bench press slightly more right now than when I could do that. It's kind of funny. You recommend a false grip? You may not be able to do it. Well, keep in mind, he was doing an axle bar. It's kind of hard to get your thumb all the way around on that. No, I think you could do it either way. I think you could go either way on that with the grip, whatever's most comfortable for your wrists on something like that. Can glute and quad gains reach their fullest growth potential doing only the back squat if you did enough volume for it? Yes. Hypothetically, yes. You got strong enough, probably. But fullest potential. Are we talking winning bodybuilding shows level, or you just want really crazy jack glutes and quads? In theory, no. If you want that last absolute bleeding edge, you probably need a second exercise. But is anybody really only doing squats? What if you deadlift also? Well, that's a second exercise. It's crazy jacked. I mean, no, dude, you could get squats and you could build your whole lower body off squats, deadlifts, and your GPP. Honestly, like you might not be winning the Mr. Olympia. You know, would you recommend it? Yeah. So Joe, I think it's going to depend on what's most comfortable. Honestly, what is most comfortable for your wrists and forearms? You know, I mean, get your back squat up to 5 plates. You're going to have pretty big legs, bro. And when I say a real squat, I don't mean, well, I know this guy who does an ultra wide, barely to parallel sumo squat with knee wraps, and he's at this body weight. Let's just stop with that. I hate those outlier examples. On average, you get your normal back squat up to 500 pounds, you're going to have crazy jacked legs. Obviously, the exception, if you're a shorter guy at a light body weight, you do a really crazy wide stance with knee wrap. So let's set all that aside. You can do just outside of shoulder width a deep 500-pound squat without knee wraps. I promise you're going to have big legs, right? You're going to have big legs, really big legs. I watched your basic intermediate program video you did many years ago. It's pretty similar to what I do. Instead of 3 sets of the 3, I do 2. Works really well. All right. Was it that basic? Was that double progression one, or was it that linear periodization one? I called the old one just an old school progression thing, but it was double progression. It was actually the correct term for the approach. Someone needs to humble the Anatoly's ego, a real guy known for apparently being this monster of strength but can't even squat 500 pounds. Yeah, exactly. It's a whole act. Jason, what's your thoughts on the new phenomenon of tons of guys taking a TRT in their 20s and 30s now? Is this just an extent? No, it's not the supplement industry. It's in fact horrible for the supplement industry. All right. No, Chris, there's no involvement with the supplement industry at all. No, it's just a modern medical industry and T clinics realizing there's a demand for it. You know, these are not even remotely related industries. I'm pretty pro TRT, by the way. You know, better living through chemistry. I don't have an issue with it. All things considered, I think we have a testosterone deficiency in society as a whole. We could argue people could live healthier, fitter lifestyles to boost it, not be fat, cut the alcohol out. But, you know, it's not going anywhere. And at least it normalizes testosterone, makes stuff easier. If we really track down on the drug industry, I think it would be a positive thing. So, Chris, I think you're confusing fitness circles with what all's happening in the real world. So instead of looking at that microcosm, you're looking at the microcosm from the fitness industry instead of looking at the real world. The TRT exploded years ago. It has nothing to do with the fitness world. What you're seeing is some fitness people trying to cash in on a larger, big industry and tack it in. Makes sense? The TRT industry is massive and completely unrelated to the fitness world. All you're seeing is a few fitness guys like that saying, well, man, maybe I should cash in on this. All right. But that actually works, unlike all these biohackers. Will help you boost your testosterone. No, the only thing that works is to go to the doctor and get a shot. It's the only thing that really works. And if people want to do it, they're going to do it. But I mean, it's no different than the rest of the wellness and longevity world. I mean, the fitness world is behind. They've lost sight of the fact with all this natty stuff and the fake natties. They've lost sight of the fact the rest of the world doesn't care. The whole upper class in the US all do this stuff already. I've known women who go to the longevity clinic and get growth hormone because it tightens their skin and helps them lose some body fat. And I don't mean in the last year. I've known women years ago who were doing this already. None of them out there. It's par for the course, guys. All these longevity clinics and stuff figured out years ago people want this stuff. Where in the world people get cosmetic surgery? You know? Right? It is what it is. He brands himself as this ultra Mexican guy. We got a facelift. I didn't know Paul got a facelift. Oh, Lord. Oh, man. Well, I get that it works, but guys getting their 20 surgery on tier 2 because they're 7,000. I mean, what are we going to argue about it being wrong, Chris? I mean, why? What's the logic behind saying that it's wrong? Would be the interesting question. I need to get coffee though, so I'm gonna be right back. So I want you to break down why it's wrong. That's the interesting thing. I'm actually curious of why you feel that it's wrong per se. All right, we're back. All right. So Chris says, because you're shutting down your natural reductions early in life, you're taking your below normal levels or normal levels, which are still healthy, just to get them to be maxed out. Yeah, I mean, I get that this is going to be a controversial topic, but the problem is, it's wrong implies a morality side, right? So, you know, but here's the other thing to look at with some of it too. Because again, we're not talking about the lifting world per se. Dudes are out here doing this in business. This is something I said quite some time back. I see more and more guys who are serious businessmen, serious professionals who do this with no concern for muscle. I've been saying this a long time, by the way. Like I've been saying this 8 or 10 years, right? Right? Because it improves their business, it improves their focus, their money. You know, it improves their drive, their quality of life. So we're arguing, in this case, testosterone and PEDs in business. So then are we supposed to argue the morality of this, the right or wrong? I don't know. I think it's a personal choice for people to make. The reason my issue with telling guys to build a strength base for lifting is because they're going to get better results. And because, so let me explain my old generation of our mindset with that. It's because dudes are lazy. It's to show that you're willing to put in work and not be lazy. And the guys who don't build a strength base get less muscle growth from the gear. They keep less muscle between cycles, and it promotes a work ethic. Does that make sense? So that's why we had that mindset. That's why we had that mindset. And this is still why I tell guys, no, they don't need to be, unless they can show they consistently are going to work, there's no point going and doing gear just to get more gains. They're going to get less out of it, and they're using it as a shortcut instead of an addition. Now we come over to therapeutic stuff. I don't know, man. I've made this statement once before, and I almost feel like going back. I've made this statement on Facebook, and it pissed people off. I've said before, I feel like the average young man, that most men would probably do better on 200 milligrams of testosterone. It would probably improve their quality of life and their mindset. Would it end the pussification of the Western male? Right? The 1200 test is not going to be TRT. That's outside of TRT range. But Chris, I'm going to play devil's advocate here, because this is a fascinating conversation, right? I'm going to play devil's advocate. Man, if most of these young men went and got on 200 milligrams of test, would it end the pussification of the Western male? Would it end this low T behavior? I'm playing devil's advocate here. Not like this stuff's expensive. People say, what if they crash their sperm count? Well, a little ACG therapy go a long way, you know. But the point is, we live in a modern era of medication. And I think what we have to think about with this, how many people out there now are on 7 different medications for their various health problems? Like, pharmaceuticals have quite frankly become a normal part of our everyday life. Right? You know? Does it make you personally? Do you notice any difference in your mental state on a high dose of test alone versus testosterone in reference range alone? Not the mental state so much. The biggest difference there is the sex drive difference. The sex drive difference is definitely different. That's the biggest difference for me personally. I've noticed historically with that. So a high dose of testosterone, you can't really be sexually satisfied. Like it's an itch you can't scratch. That's the biggest problem. You essentially are limited by the vaginal plasticity and the mouth muscles of your partner. You know, she's good for 3, 4, 5 times a day, whatever. You know, that's the problem. You're limited by your partner pretty much. No difference in aggression. No, not with testosterone, Joe. Not with testosterone. No, I was on TRT already, Chris. I had a prescription for testosterone back then. I didn't necessarily discuss it. No, I've never seen aggression on testosterone personally. Tren, on the other hand, yeah, not testosterone. Um, but Chris, we could have that conversation about the pussification of the Western male and low testosterone behavior. Just saying. Hmm. What a topic that would be. You believe Lee Priest when he said he took barely anything? I don't know, Chris. Do you believe Lee Priest when he says that? Now, it's hard to quantify that with those really short dudes because they're just such a different animal, right? You know, but still, I don't know. Do you believe him? Especially given the era that he competed in? You know, he's in the post-Dorian world, right? So let's go back and look at those years. That's what I thought. He was still up into the 2000s after Dorian retired. So what do you think, Chris? He's a genetic phenomenon. So here's the thing with the bubble gut. Did he have an extremely thin waist relative to his height and proportions? I don't know about that. But let's think about the bubble gut thing. All right. Do anabolic steroids cause bubble gut? I mean that is a serious question, Chris. Is there any possible pathway by which anabolic steroids could cause bubble gut? Could a person get bubble gut from using ludicrous, mind boggling amounts of anabolic steroids if that's the only drugs they took? And if you believe so, I want to know the physical pathway by which you believe it's possible. All right. I don't believe it's possible for anabolic steroids to cause it in any dose. Therefore, your argument that he used really doses of anabolics and citing lack of bubble gut is not a logical statement. Right. So the insulin and IGF-1 are to blame. So that's literally all you have to do to avoid the bubble gut. Just keep the doses low on those two drugs. That's it. That's it. That's the entire solution. So then people ask the question, why do some of those guys get it? Because they can't get big enough on low doses of insulin. They can't get to the size they want them to be. Right? They can't get to the size they want them to be at on 100 units of insulin a day or 200. Right? You can't do it. They want them to be too big. Also, man, I'm gonna be honest with you, Chris. I get no views and I make no money when we talk about pro bodybuilding. It totally destroys my outreach for some reason. Notice how low the views are when we jumped over to that. Fuck Lee Priest, fuck pro bodybuilding, fuck them all. I don't even want to talk about them. I mean, Lee Priest is a lying midget clown. There you go. Why are we even talking about Lee Priest? But notice how low the views are when we went over to bodybuilding. I can't maintain any views when we talk about it. It's like just a complete waste of a coffee chat. Every time it happens, I don't make any money and I get no views. No, it's a dead topic. We're literally better talking about guns or the passport bros or deadlifts, like anything but pro bodybuilding. Notice since I said that, the views started ticking back up. Like, so we can't clip that. It's too late. Right. But, so let's just move on with it. No, dude. They all lie. I don't like Lee Priest. I have a personal issue with Lee Priest. That's why I talk track shock. He started it. I never said his name before, and he popped off at me before. So I'm just going. He's just a clown ass midget. No, the guns still do better than pro bodybuilding. My views drop to nothing. Every time we go on to that topic, the views trickle to nearly zero. Nobody cares. There's like 3 people in the whole world. All right. So let's get over. Charm says I'm 200 pounds, shredded to 6 foot. Good stuff, man. Good stuff, Charms. Yeah. So next time I got to remember to put something in the title. This one has been a wash, unfortunately. Yesterday was stronger. Unfortunately, this coffee chat has not been successful. It just started slow. That's okay. It's got the views at, yeah. Well, West Coast is just getting up. True. That's true. So I could run it a little longer. I do got to train this morning, though. We do got to train this morning. It's 8 o'clock. Seems like it's a long time because I got in here really early. We got in here really early. I'm completely out of coffee. Full body day. Yeah, it's full body every day. How many unique views? It doesn't give me full numbers early on. So far, it's not been that many. How many unique viewers? It doesn't tell me. It never actually tells me that number. I don't get that statistic. I'm taking a week off and working out nonstop. I'm not a big fan of off weeks. At least do something. Like, you're not going to like how you feel after a week off when you come back, by the way. You take a full week off. Charms. Charm ZZZ. Yeah, sorry, I'm just never going to be polite, Chris, about Lee Priest because this is someone who I didn't care about, never said anything bad about, who just out of nowhere just trash talked me in a video. So, I'm sorry. He's just a clown midget. That's all he'll ever be to me. He's some dude who popped off at me for no reason. I never did anything to him. Yeah, yeah. And he can go sing Lollipop Guild with Greg Doucette. You know, I mean, exactly. And that's kind of the point. It's like I never said anything about it. It's like I get it, man. If I pop off at you first and you have something bad to say, okay, fine. But I never said anything about him, and he just chimed in. It's like okay, but don't expect me to be nice to you or like you. If you just the only time my name comes out of your mouth is to say something bad when I've not wronged you, right? But in any event, let's move on from these stupid pro bodybuilding. It just needs to die out. Pro bodybuilding needs to die out. The world will be a better place. The fitness world will be a better place when it does, quite frankly. All right. But no charms, man. You're going to get really sore. So if you're used to training all the time, you just take a straight week off. You're not going to enjoy those DOMs later, man. You're not going to enjoy those DOMs. But it's 8 o'clock. Might be time to wind this one down. I don't know, man. This one's been slow. We didn't get any supers. 3 hours deep. No. No, Chris, he jumped in on the fake Merc thing. Yeah. The old school bodybuilders, we all know they were better. They were way better. The silver and golden era is where it peaked. Right. So let's just keep bringing it. Let's talk about other topics, Chris, and quit feeding the algo of it. You just keep coming back to it. Let the topic die out. Let's pretend it doesn't exist. Yeah, you can't even, well, you can clickbait for views more. That's a weird question. How weird is it that that whole community uses the word conditioning incorrectly? I just came back. People still bring. I know, right? Come on, guys. Right? Bodybuilders like to make up their own words. They like to change the meaning of other words in their culture. It's really strange. Like since I don't run a bodybuilding channel, if you say conditioning, you better be talking about running. Right? This is a strength channel. So what do you mean conditioning? They all have horrible conditioning. None of them do cardio. All right, next. They don't have any conditioning. None of them at all. They're completely out of shape with no conditioning. All right. Go test their 5K time if you don't believe me. All right, but let's get over to real topics. Whatever happened to Alan? I'm still friends with Alan. Alan Aragon, you mean? I mean, he's still a nutrition guy. Alan ran through his own set of problems, though, man. Right. Alan had his own set of issues, and I mean, I don't want to drag all his stuff through the mud. Other than I don't hold any ill will towards Alan over any of that stuff, and I talked to him about it. Alan got me too'd pretty much. He got pretty much set up by a far left wing woman who is a social justice warrior. Pretty much trapped him in a situation, knowing his reputation. But Alan did have a problem with drinking. He's been sober for many years now. But Alan had that one of those guys who he misbehaved when he drank. I can relate to. So A social justice warrior with her own page kind of me too'd him. She trapped him in a situation knowing he gets touchy feely when he drinks, and she cozied up next to him and he put his arm around her the wrong way, and she pulled a whole me too on him. His name got ran through the mud, like he got almost canceled over it. This is years ago. I don't know how many years ago. I I don't know, Chris, but it was fitness news. I mean, if I give you an exact year, it's going to be wrong, so that's not fair. Can I just throw a number out and just say, let's just go 5 years? It's just random. Let's just call it 5. Is that fair? And I could be off. So please don't quote me on that. There you go, Blaha lying. So the specifics shouldn't matter. But he went through a lot, man. He was very public in all of this, though. So he was very public. I talked to him in private about it, by the way. So I'm not going to go into those conversations, because that's private. But we talked, and I personally did say in public I was disappointed with some of the behavior, but I also forgave him. My concern was that you're a married man, dude. You don't need to be drinking or not. You don't need to be flirting and cozying up and putting your arm around these groupies and fangirls, kissing them on the cheek, all this stuff when you're a married man. Like, so I said, I'm like disappointed. Now, Alan went through Alcoholics Anonymous. He went through marriage counseling. He did a bunch of charity work. And I told him that's too far. I think you caved on that. I think that he shouldn't have done any of that. He did this stuff for women's awareness. And so it's like, no, just stop. For assault victims, you didn't need to do all that. That was going too far, but he did it. But as far as the other things go, look, he got sober. He's gone through a program. He did through marriage counseling over all of it. And he's been completely sober. He saved his marriage. Yeah, you don't bow to the Me Too, the outrage mob. It never ends well. Never ends well. Just like Joey Swole going through that at the moment with that. He caved before, and it's just like, dude, you caved already. Now he's going through it again. You measured your forearms, 15-inch forearms are pretty big. We saw the whole Joey Swole thing. Yeah, did we just see the new one with the trans thing? And so hopefully he doesn't, he's been told don't cave on this one. And don't even get me started. Yeah, dude, Jerry Ward's been dead a while. Jerry Ward died years ago. Bro. Jerry Ward died, man. He's gone, dude. He died of a heart attack. Man, people are getting out of control with the trans thing too. And I don't know how do we broach this without getting canceled, but when you go pull these, people are calling him a trans. It's only a small, tiny number of people. Most people don't care about any of that. What's fascinating, you have that whole movement, but if you look up the definitions, you want me to tell you what year? You're going to have to Google what year. I would have to Google what year Jerry Ward died. Here's the issue with the topic. When you look up the actual definition of transphobic, 80% of the population are transphobic. In other words, it's the normalized. In other words, it's a word that essentially means normal people for the most part, unless you go to the extreme ends of it. But by and large, if you pull that definition up, that's like 80% of the population. So it's been over 3 years. So did you look it up, Peppermint? Yeah, so Jerry Ward's been dead for like at least 3 years. Well, 3 years is a long time, Chris. All right, a lot happens. Why you guys act like 3 years is not a long time? I look back and go, dude, my so many aspects of my life are fundamentally different from 3 years ago. 3 years is a long time, right? But no, I mean, if you go look up the definitions of things that fall under the definition of transphobia, the overwhelming majority of the population don't believe in the bathroom situation. No, they don't want dudes in the bathrooms, right? Um, hey, Chris, you ask which of these things causes death. How are we supposed to know? A serious question, Chris, and no offense intended. How are we supposed to determine the answer to your question? So Jerry Ward dies of a heart attack, and that's all that we know. How do we answer that question? Right? Now the regulars are rolling in now. I've rolled over, was thinking about closing it because it's slow. Then we got all these members popping back in. Good morning, Trill. What's up, guys? Right? This has been a super chat free 3.5 hours. It's crazy. But yeah. But Chris, what are they gonna leak? Leak what stuff? Meaning we know that we have someone who has a history of poly drug abuse, some other stuff happening, and all that we know is that they died of a heart attack. All we could do is the answer is you could speculate, I could speculate, but we don't know. Right? We don't know because was his other narcotic issues still happening? It wasn't happening. He'd been off of them a really long time. Is that still a factor? Are you necessarily going to have atherosclerosis later from that? I don't know. Is there a link between heroin and atherosclerosis? But Jerry used really heavy doses of gear, late in life, right? So I don't know. Chris, can we? Oh my God, really don't want to go through this again, man. Can we just change that topic? Can we not relive and redo this again? Can you just go back 3 years and just go watch the stuff yourself and leave it there? Right. I mean, again, I almost feel like you trolling me. Yeah, let's not bring up old wounds. Kapow, John, get out of here. We don't need that nonsense. Yeah, let's move on. Yeah, let's change. Because Chris, dude, I've already covered that. I've talked about all that at the time, man. I gave my thoughts on it, and we've moved on. I mean, I did a whole rest in peace and everything video. You could go back and check. You can go dig for it. All right. So we don't need to reopen all that up. That's way in the past. Keep in mind that's years, so hence why a lot happens in 3 years. So no, man. But I mean, a lot of this stuff, and I think that we have to understand when it comes to atherosclerosis and understanding how it ties in with diet. And anabolics is a big deal, guys. It's a big deal. you know. And again, we come over to people saying not always trusting pharmaceutical stuff. Well, maybe there comes come a point where a lot of times with your lifestyle, something to help reverse atherosclerosis and Lipitor and stuff like that's not a bad idea. Yeah, yeah, it was the mole. Hold on, that's an important message. You know, pow. Yep, there we go. It turns out that a guy who's obsessed with being a passport bro comes in as a hater. Did you see that? The whole dude standing there talking about he can't meet girls. He's talking about glorifying passport. And he comes right in with my troll stuff. Is it any surprise that one of my trolls is a passport bro and interested in it and can't meet girls? Beautiful sunrise with the red. Nice stuff. Jason, you think if someone bulks at a lower fat diet, they'll stay leaner throughout? Well, hey, future, I don't know how to necessarily answer that question. How low of a fat diet? Is their fat intake smaller than the hypothetical calorie surplus? Because I'm going to say no if you just mean a low fat diet, as defined medically as a low fat diet nutritionally. Or do you mean an ultra low fat diet? In terms of medical and nutritional terms, those are two very different things. My throat. Oh, sorry, guys. All right. So, Chris, you just outed yourself as a troll, by the way, with that line. I'm probably going to ban you. Only people who watch his troll videos about me would have uttered that line. You do know that, right? Only people who watch troll videos about me would even utter that phrase. That is purely the source of all of that. I don't know why you guys always do this. Oh man, there we go. But you see the point, right? Where did you get that from? That exists only on my troll videos, hater videos. So, how long can you go without it being a health issue? 100 grams of fat a day, that's a high fat diet. I don't understand your question. Please ask it a different way. So, future 100 grams of fat a day is pretty high fat. So, we're talking about multiple different topics here. That's not a low fat diet, dude. 100 grams of fat a day, that's 900 calories from fat. You literally have to be adding fat sources in to reach that. Like, you can't do that. Is biologically impossible off, say, chicken breasts and brown rice, right? So if you talk about, you think of as low fat foods, there's no way you could get 100 grams of fat, not even close. So Right. Yeah, low is like 20 to 30 grams of fat. All right. But in any event, Chris, so let's not bring up troll stuff. So could you, if you want to stay, then just simply move on and realize you brought up a troll topic. All right. Um, so we're talking about a lot of different. Um, what's the lowest amount of fat you can consume daily without it causing issues? We don't know. We absolutely don't know what the lowest fat is that don't cause issues. I mean, the Okinawans did fine on fat intakes that would probably be considered deficient, right? So this is subject to a lot of debate, you know, right? But there are people who eat 20 grams of fat a day and they're just fine, as long as you're not deficient in essential fatty acids. So the arguments we're dealing with are you getting necessarily the benefits of healthy fats? I mean, I've made whole videos on practical applications. That's a lot for me to cover in a live stream when I've done full breakdowns and detailed videos on this of pros and cons of dealing with this stuff. But I mean, hypothetically, a person could be healthy as long as they're not deficient in omega-3 or omega-6. A person could be fine on 20 grams of fat a day. However, are you necessarily going to get those benefits from the healthy fats? No, there's other reasons. But we come over to the other point. So if you're talking about your goal is to lean bulk, well, then you need to just keep the calorie and weight gain extremely low. Because if you're talking about the low fat lean bulk method to where you can't gain fat, you've got to be eating like 15 grams of fat future. So if you're talking about the ultra high carb, ultra low fat lean bulk approach, chasing maximized hormonal response, your fat would need to be under 20 grams. If you're talking about using that as a bit of a hack. Makes sense? Because the reason for that is because all of our body fat comes from, all your subcutaneous fat started as dietary fat. And in theory, if you're not eating enough dietary fat to accrue significant subcutaneous fat, it's going to be nearly non-existent, almost irrespective of calorie intake. But you're going to have other factors that impact your ability to create a surplus at all. It's that you're not going to have the surplus ultimately, because your TDEE is going to go up. Your energy out through other pathways is going to go up because you have no way to necessarily store it as fat beyond that. This is a detailed, nuanced conversation, that you have to be aware of. But if that's what you're talking about, if your goal is to lean bulk by eating a low fat as a strategy, that's an extreme strategy. And that strategy to work requires excessively low fat. Otherwise, your best way to lean bulk is to just not eat a big surplus, or to stay almost at maintenance and barely gain weight. I lean bulk and it works for me. Right. Right. But so what you're doing, Defiant, is just is good overall, right? You're just good overall to do that. Exactly. So Peppermint says 82 kilograms July, now he's just now hitting 83. And that's a viable lean bulk approach, right? Perfectly viable approach. But I mean, if you look at my current meals, I'm pretty much doing ultra low fat at the moment. I probably eat less than 20 grams of fat a day. at the moment. Why is it someone who's in their early 20s gets away with eating some junk and can stay pretty lean? Because they're not eating a set calorie surplus. Okay. This very simple, future. They're not overeating. This isn't a complicated explanation. Right. I eat those specifically for the health benefits, but I think I would be really low if I cut out the olive oil and half the servings of the other two, right? Probably. You know. Right. All right, guys, this is running real late. I'm going to go ahead and wind this down. I got to get ready to get my training going. I love you guys, and I'm out. I'll do another live this afternoon. Take care, guys.